look around, you never know what's in store. Explore, explore, explore. Explore, explore, explore.
This is kind of the difference between an engine that's more set up for wildland and one that's for structure fires is this has SCBAs on the outside of the cab.
Okay.
Whereas in that one, you can actually put that SCBA that Greg was wearing, you can put that on inside the cab in your seat because they're in behind each seat.
Okay.
Whereas here, we have to get out,
And pull it
grab
out.
it, pull it out, put it on outside.
Okay.
It can still be done quickly. It's just takes just a tad longer.
Sure.
So there's 4 of those, 2 on each side.
Okay.
In here, we just keep some of our hand tools. So.
Now, what would each one of these be used for, and what is each one?
So bolt cutters.
Bolt cutters.
That could be anything for from cutting locks if we need to get through a gate, cutting barbed wire fences if we need, mainly for getting access to things that we don't have access to. This is a fire axe. It's got a pick on one end, axe on the other. Sledgehammer, mated irons. This consists of an axe. This is called a Halligan.
Now, what's a Halligan do? It's just for prying places.
It's kind of, yeah, it's mainly a pry tool, but it's good for a lot of different things. If I can get it out. So it's a pry tool. It's really useful for vehicle accidents. You can spike this into panels in the car to pry them up, like trunks and hoods. You can use this flat end and hammer it into gaps in like car doors. So someone, I would hold it, and then someone would take that sledgehammer and drive it into the gaps, and then use it as a pry tool.
Yeah.
You can use this to find the cables that pop hoods, and you can twist them and actually get the hood to pop from the outside. Just
it's a multi-purpose tool.
Yeah, multi-purpose tool. A lot of uses, mainly for prying. Let's see.
So pretty much all the different tools are using for different kinds of access or to different things, basically.
Yeah.
And the axe, now I've seen like picture where people are kind of cutting down like doors. Now also that you can, that's also like to vent fires, right? You can vent fires with
an axe up on a roof you can use. Generally, a chainsaw is gonna be a little more effective. But you can definitely use the axes to make ventilation holes. And actually behind here we have a couple more tools. These are called Pulaski's. It's a wildland tool. A lot of wildland firefighting is actually done without water. Just creating a barrier, whether it's a fuel break, where you clear vegetation down to the dirt so it can't burn directly across. So that's just one of the wildland tools. I'll show you some more up here.
So now if it's not a very windy day, is that when you typically wouldn't use water, but if it's a windier day you might want to use water then? Is that how it works? Or?
Well, the main thing with water is access. So fires are sometimes in such remote places that you might not be able to get an engine to them. Might be too far to do a hose lay. Maybe you don't have aircraft available, so there's a lot of hand crews that just go in physically with hand tools.
Just make a fire line.
All day long,
dirt,
cutting line down to dirt and creating a fire line,
Wow.
And here's some more of the tools we use for that. There's just, everyone has their preference. There's different styles of tools.
So I imagine, but this probably just like grabs the vegetation and pulls it up there?
Yeah, it's basically a smaller version of a McCleod.
Oh, wow.
So this is a McCleod. It's good for clearing light vegetation, leaves.
So it's quick.
The duff that kind of collects on, it'll stay.
Okay, yeah.
The duff that kind of collects on the bottom of the forest floor. This is called a Rhino. It's kind of a curved shovel, pretty useful tool for scraping.
So now when you're cleaning out the vegetation, do you have someone like there beside, I mean, you can't just leave it there, right? You got to kind of move it out. So they're moving this stuff out, or?
A lot of times it'll be a line of people, could be 12 to 20 people. You spread out, and the first guy, he's taking a little bit of vegetation, but by the time the last guy comes through, you might have a 3-4 foot wide, completely clear path down to dirt. Just everyone taking a little bit adds up, and you end up making a nice little break.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a whole like chain of folks kind of what's going on.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's other tools as well. So we just use everything, shovels, all kinds of, that's more of a custom tool right there. Everyone has their preference.
So see, now this is the difference between a fire department that's out in sort of a more wilderness area than say one that's in the city. They probably wouldn't have all this equipment here to fight brush fires because it wouldn't necessarily be something that they'd be doing. But here out in a lot of countryside here, they have these kind of tools to clear away brushes because they get a lot of brush fires out here.
Thank you. We have some extra bottles for the SCBA system Greg was showing you.
Oh, okay, so that's why you keep them all stored down there.
Yeah, there's 3 there. There's one on the other side. This is our medical compartment. So it's actually one of the things we do most as a fire department is go to medical aids.
And you send this truck out for that then? Okay.
Yep, this will go on medical calls. Main reason up here is we can usually get to a medical aid before an ambulance.
Okay.
So it allows us to get there, provide some basic care until the
ambulance arrives.
Yeah.
So now, are you guys all trained to be paramedics then, or?
No. So we are either EMRs or EMTs.
Okay.
So it's emergency responder or emergency medical technician. It's
enough, just basic.
It's basic life
basic
support,
to keep them there until somebody else comes to help them out. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything past EMT is basically paramedic, which is advanced life support.
So what type of equipment would you guys have then as an EMT?
Well, so one of the main things we have is oxygen. So we keep oxygen.
The tank right there?
Yep, and we have multiple ways we can administer it. If someone's just having some light difficulty breathing, just a little short on breath, we can do a nasal cannula. It just goes in their nose, provides the lowest concentration of oxygen of all the methods. If someone's having a little bit more hypoxia, then we would go to a non-rebreather. This can provide up to 100% oxygen levels for a patient. So it's actually a mask. It goes on their face.
Mask, yeah, just pumps it in there.
And then we can also administer, if someone's having trouble breathing on their own, we have what's called a bag valve mask. So we can actually do the breathing for
can hand pump
the patient. Yeah. This one's closed. So it also hooks up to the oxygen. And then you have this face piece here. And what you'll do is you'll hold that face piece against the person's mouth and nose, and then you'll hand.
Just kind of squeeze in so it's not too much oxygen at once.
Yep. And that you can actually breathe for someone if they're not breathing on their own or not quite breathing enough.
Wow.
So yeah, basic life support equipment. And then we also have a few medications we can administer. We keep Narcan on the engine.
Now, what is Narcan for?
Narcan can reverse the effects of narcotics.
Okay.
So people a lot of times will overdose on narcotics, and without intervention, they're just basically going to sleep. They're just not breathing.
So Narcan's kind of like a stimulant then, kind of?
Yeah, it reverses the effects of the narcotics, and it works really fast, gets people awake quickly.
Yeah, well, then, which is important.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So don't do drugs, it's very bad for you.
We keep an AED as well.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure you've heard of an AED.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Stands for Automatic External Defibrillator.
Are those battery charged up, or you plug them in and charge them up?
They use a battery. They have these pads, and you stick the pads on the patient, and this will monitor their heart rhythm, and it lets you know if they're in a shockable rhythm. So if someone's heart is in fibrillation, it's not pumping effectively, you can actually shock it and get the electrical impulses firing correctly again to where their heart starts pumping properly. Yep, it's called an AED. Starting to find these all over the place, especially public buildings, offices. It's just really important when someone has a heart problem to have these close by. So they're just trying to get them everywhere.
And how quickly can you hook that up to somebody? Pretty fast?
Oh yeah, seconds, really.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. So then you
really fast.
And how many charges can you get out of like one battery?
I know you can do quite a bit because there's been calls where they've had to shock people multiple times. I don't know the exact number.
Okay.
But
that's great.
There's a lot of power in those. And then we have various other things for splinting injuries, stabilizing people. There's things to stabilize broken legs. There's a KED device, which if someone's in a vehicle accident and they're in a sitting position, we can stabilize their spine while they're seated in the vehicle. So that way when we move them, we're not
risking paralysis,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, and we have suction devices, gowns. There's OB kits for delivery.
Have you had to deliver any babies yourself?
I have not. It's kind of a rare thing for firefighters, I think, at least for us anyway. But
it's always a possibility.
You always have to be ready.
Yeah, always have to be ready.
On this engine, we keep a ladder. This is a 20-foot 3-fly ladder. It's just kind of a 2-person operation. So, yeah, it's a 3-fly. See it get deployed.
Sure.
We also keep Pike Poles. These are really long tools we can use to, pull down sheetrock or access areas that are a little out of our reach, check for fire.
And how long are those poles normally?
There's a 10-foot. On this one, a 10-foot and an 8-foot, I believe. I'd have to get back to you on that one. Let's see. I guess these are shorter. It's like 6 foot and 8 foot.
Do they feel heavy or how are they light?
Oh no, they're really light. It's a fiberglass handle.
Oh yeah, pretty light.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lets you work longer.
I don't get worn out. That's the last thing I want to do.
Oh yes, so he's got the stair chair. That lets us safely get people downstairs.
Oh really? Now how does that work?
So what you would do is move the patient to that chair, strap them in there, and then you use people to move the chair downstairs. There's a track system on the back that slides down the stairs.
Top of the stairs? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much like that. I'm not on the stairs.
Yeah, but it slides over the corners of the stairs all the way down, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a safe way to get patients downstairs. And, obviously we don't want to hurt the patient, but back injuries are a very common thing in EMS and fire. So anyway, we can kind of prevent that is a good thing.
Sure. And now what is this right here?
That is a monitor. So you can hook that up to a supply line and they flow a lot of water. So if, say you had 2 buildings on fire and you wanted to protect the building that's not on fire from the building that is, you can set that up and spray a lot of water between the fire and the one you're trying to protect and take the heat out of
that makes sense,
of the fire. Yeah. Just they're good for flowing a lot of water.
Yeah, that's cool. See, I didn't know you actually had to do a separate thing to protect the other house, but that makes a lot of sense. To protect the surrounding buildings, yeah.
You know those pre-connected lines we were looking at on the sides? You can do it with those, but just the more water, the better.
Certainly.
And then that's a rope bag. We have rope rescue equipment for different types of rescues.
Like off a mountainside, cliffside or something? Or?
Yeah, so there's different levels of certification. There's low angle and high angle rope rescue. So high angle being the more advanced level of rescue. And there is dedicated teams to types of rescues like that, like the cave. I think the cave rescue is a dedicated team.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So,
now there are a need for I know there's a lot of caves in this area. I mean, is that there you get like a lot of cave rescue necessities? I mean, I think they get like a lot of calls for that.
We get calls for that every once in a while. Just maybe a month ago, we got a call for a cave rescue, but all we really had to do was provide a hand to help them out. It was a really tight access, and they were kind of dehydrated, so they didn't have the strength to pull themselves out of the cave. But anything beyond us reaching in the cave and helping them out or providing some rope or something like that would require a more advanced rescue team.
With special gear and special training.
For cave rescue.
Sure.
So these are more discharges. We can hook lines off the back. There's intakes and discharges. We can fill. We can pump lines off of here. There's the backpack fill for the backpack pumps. So backpack pumps are small reservoirs you can take on your back, and they have a hand pump, and they're really useful for when you're cleaning up fires. It's called mop up.
So the little outbreaks here and there type of thing? Or?
Yeah, that, and when you're trying to put out anything that's still hot, you want to get everything cooled down so it doesn't start a new fire later on.
Now how much pressure do these lines pump out when they're pumping water out? How much pressure do they?
Well, for wildland, we want about 50 psi at the nozzle for that smoothbore nozzle I was showing you, and then for the combination nozzle, about 100 psi.
Okay.
Yeah. And then back here, there's more wildland stuff. These are the hose packs that I was telling you about. So basically, we put these on and hike with them. And when we run out of hose and need to extend the hose further, we just drop one of the packs of hose.
Oh, so it's full of hoses. Okay.
Yep. There's
now how long are these hoses? How long are they?
Each link is 100 feet, so there's 200 feet per pack. You can get 300 feet in them, a third stick. It just makes it a little bit heavy. So.
Can I try one on my back, see what it feels like?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just want to see what that feels like.
Kind of hard to get on here. Let me loosen the strap up.
That tight fit.
Yeah, someone left the strap a little tight. That should be better. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's got some heft to it for sure.
A little bit. And then you would also, have that web gear on that Alex was showing earlier. So it adds up. By the time, you have your tool, your web gear, hose pack, it gets a little heavy.
So how often do you guys have to you guys stay in shape? How often do you guys have to work out to stay in shape to lift all this equipment around?
We try and work out at least once a day on shift, and then off shift. It's important to work out in your off time too.
Certainly.
So I think most people try for every day.
See, it pays to stay in shape, guys. If you stay in shape, you're going to be a firefighter yourself someday. But it's a constant battle. Keep yourself in shape. You can't give up on it. You got to stay in shape on a daily basis.
It's definitely a constant battle. I got that. So yeah, we keep a lot of hose packs. These are those backpack pumps I was telling you about. You can fill those with water and then hike those up to areas where you need water.
It all makes perfect sense.
You have a hydrant wrench back here, some spanner wrenches. That's just if you're doing a fire hydrant hookup, just tools you might need or will need.
Now, how quickly does it take you to undo a fire hydrant and hook up a hose?
You can get it done in less than a minute, really.
Now, that's something, I imagine that's something you guys practice regularly, right?
Oh yeah, we actually, before you got here today, we were out at a hydrant practicing hooking to a hydrant.
See, and again, it proves that practice makes perfect. The more you practice something, the better you get at it. So don't ever give up on, if something's hard for you, don't quit. Just practice more, right? It makes you better.
Yeah, we never stop training. So there's never a day you don't train in the fire service, and there's never a point where you reach a level where you stop training. It's just a constant process because you can always learn something. You never know everything.
Learning is a never-ending process. No matter
true.
how old you get, no matter how much you learn, you can always learn more. And that's
true.
definitely.
Now once more with Explore, we've done learning galore. Explore, explore, explore.
Hey fellow explorers, I need subscribers to stay on the air. So please hit that subscribe button down below. Thank you. See you next time, fellow explorers. Take care.